Hi there, my name is Linnard Burmann from Heidelberg, Germany, and I'm hooked to port wine since I was a teenager, and we sometimes stole a bottle of port from my grandfather's minibar. Nevertheless, after my first vintage port tasting approximately 8 years ago, port became a true passion for me. I remember this tasting. Obviously, I was very inexperienced and lucky enough to sit next to a guy who was quite experienced. I was trying to learn as much as possible and ask him about his assessment on this or that wine, and he was quite helpful. And at some time he leaned over to me and said, you know, in your life there will only be about a handful of wines so good you will remember them for the rest of your life. I was excited and full of anticipation. Which of these wines in front of us will be the one he was talking about? To my disappointment, he continued, but today there is no such wine. And now, some years later, I'm fortunate enough to look back on some wines which really touched me. One of these rare and magic wines the guy was talking about, for me, definitely is the Fonseca 1963 vintage port. There are only a few years in the history of port where the conditions were as perfect as in 1963. A cold winter followed by a wet spring with lots of rain to fill the reservoirs, and then a warm summer, finally perfect conditions during the harvest. For many port enthusiasts, 1963 is like the holy grail of all vintages, and they are absolutely right. Even though most shippers could produce outstanding qualities, Fonseca was able to create a truly iconic wine. And I remember the first time I've tried this wine like it was yesterday. I invited 3 of my best friends and we sat together at this table. We were excited for days in expectation of the wine. And after the decanter was passed around and everybody filled his glass, we finally took the first sip. We closed our eyes and let the wine take effect on us. After a while, we looked into each other's eyes and everybody knew he was not alone. Not alone with the feeling of being part of something truly exceptional. A bunch of good friends sharing this wonderful bottle of wine. A multi-layered, deep, complex wine, yet elegant in a subtle way, still very powerful, in perfect harmony. A wine harvested in the year 1963, when John F. Kennedy held his legendary speech in Berlin, when Martin Luther King asked for equal rights for Afro-Americans in the United States, the year when the Beatles had their first international hit and nobody ever heard of the Rolling Stones. A wine aged in a bottle for almost 60 years, a time span long enough for nations to rise and fall. Sip for sip, this wine is a liquid piece of world history, concentrated in a wonderful elixir. 4 friends on this table, blessed with understanding, humility, and gratitude. All this we could see in each other's eyes, and a big, satisfied smile came to our faces. Because we knew this wine and this moment we will remember for the rest of our lives.